I do find myself still bothered by a lot of these shirts that get put online. There's a picture on the Twitter that just has a girl, you know, she's really hot, but the shirt says a girl without a dick is like an angel without wings. And not only am I really bothered by that premise, but I also find that, no, we're not doing a React Andy. I hate React Andy. I'll do it if I have to, but like, again, I don't know why. I know in an attempt to validate trans girls that do not want or cannot afford SRS, we upsell girl dick, but god damn, guys, can we like actually talk about neo-vaginas and how fucking amazing that is? Again, that whole analogy doesn't work either, because like, what is it? Like, if you get SRS, does that mean that you lose your wings? Are you a fallen angel? Did you join Lucifer's horde? Yeah, all genitals are wonderful and deserve to be loved, and all incarnations of them. I've never understood people that have issues with parts. Like, I just don't get it. The person just showers and it's fine. Manga has it right. You get home from work, you shower, you take a bath if you have time, you know, then you have the sexy times, and like everyone's good to go. Oral's real easy. It's fine. It's just fine. I find that shit so weird. Ever since I decided on bottom surgery, it feels like there's just a very real, I guess, weirdness with all this. But yeah, I find myself really bothered by a lot of this stuff, like, and I get why I feel bad about it, and I think it's because there is an insinuation about one being better than the other, because you can see which ones are talked about, and it is very invalidating. Yeah, it's trying so hard to validate one subsection that it invalidates another. No, it absolutely is. It is an overcorrection. I think we should make shirts that say neo-vagina lovers. We should sell that in the fucking store, if we ever had a store. Someone work on that design. We're just gonna make a neo-vagina one. That's it. No dicks. None. Not cis guy dick, none. Just to compensate, because there's so much stuff about dicks that like we need to push the pendulum back the other way. Oh my god, I buy the fuck ton of TGT merch? Well, help us get that set up. Me too, Lena. Me too. Both to play with and to have as my own. I don't know why this is so hard. Yeah, I find myself feeling like there's a really weird thing. Zena's brought this up too. This isn't just a me thing. Like, you'll see this in conversation. Does anyone else, if you're in a Discord, you'll be in a fucking like 10-person Discord call, and it'll be 300 discussions about girl dick. No one wants to hear about cis dude dick. But then like, there's not really ever talk about like vaginas, like the effects of tea on vaginas, or like the way in which, like, you know, what's it like finally having the parts that you desperately wanted. That stuff happens a lot, and it's really, I get it, but also like, yeah, I don't know. As a gay person, I kindly disagree. What do you feel like there's a lot of discussion about? I know there's some stuff about tea and clit growth. I mean, it happens, but I never see any discussion about it. Oh yes, okay, go and fine. I stand corrected on that point. I don't want to hear about it, but you're welcome to. Yeah, we never talk about trans mass dick. Like, we literally spent $120,000 in constructing a dick and nobody cares. I get it, Spectrum. You really like Owen's dick. Come on now. There's a stigmatization around trans guys' bottom surgery? Why? It's literally a wonder of fucking science. Whoever came up with that? Buck Angel and others? Wait, Buck Angel's literally giving people shit for bottom surgery? Z-Hypers in chat, everybody.
Where'd my sock go?
I don't know.
Didn't you take my sock?
I didn't. Maybe it's behind you?
Oh, I get here and my sock's gone.
Oh no.
Well, let me go grab my sock.
Guys, Z-Hypers, come on now. You know to do this. It's not energies. We're doing Z-Hypers. Come on. Don't fuck this up. Violet, you know better. I don't know where your sock went. Maybe? I don't know. We've summoned a Zena. Mothra has risen from her nest. God, my boobs hurt. My boobs hurt. Because big pieces of metal got shoved through them. Doot, doot, doot. Yes, they hurt. But they're cute. Doot, 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 doot.
Why are you...
What? I literally have just been dicking off for an hour. Hi. And then talking about lightsaber penises, which was just a...
Wait. Were you like, okay, too many boy parts. I gotta go play with my boobs now to make up for it.
Yes.
All right, got it. Just making sure I'm on
the
same
they're a little
page.
bigger now, and they have cool piercings. And
that's true.
I want them to be happy. Mm-hmm. And you really like them, and other people who like me also really like them. So
I do like them.
Yeah. I wish they were bigger, but fuck me, right? Yeah, we were just talking about the fact that like there's so much talk about girl dick. Like there was I'll show you the shirt. This is what we were talking about before. Where was it? The one that was like the girl without a dick is like an angel without wings, and how that doesn't make sense as a...
Oh yeah, that's what I said to Jess earlier. Like, this literally as a concept makes no sense metaphorically either.
Well, because what it essentially breaks down to is the idea that like if you don't have a dick, then like if you're a trans girl and you get SRS, suck it. And then we went into this tangent about the fact that, like, apparently there's some transphobic surgeries around like, there's some transphobic shit that people have sprouted out about. Like, I was looking at RSI trans surgery, whatever it's called, and it was only neo-vaginas, which is epic, but I also want to see neo-penis. Yeah, well, and I think the thing is neo-penises, you'll see them occasionally, but it is rare. And again, part of that is because trans masc people are like a third of the number compared to trans femmes, and there's numerous sociological and probably psychological reasons for that. And then two is that it's super fucking expensive. You're talking about the difference between a $30,000 surgery, which is what SRS is, and a $120,000 surgery. Because building a penis out of the mechanical parts of a vagina is harder than building a vagina out of other stuff.
Like Chris said, there's two main types, phalloplasty and metoidoplasty.
Yep.
Or primary types at any rate.
I just remember we had a guy that was created the original procedure as one of our speakers at school. And he actually talked about it as like, well, what we were trying to figure out is how do you get an erection? Because you can't really, make that system work that way. So what we came up with was you put like a surgical metal rod in there that bends properly, and you just put it up or down depending on what you need. And like the idea was basically like, the way he described it, it reminded me of those lamps you see in college, but as a dick. Yeah, I think right now, as far as SRS for me, I think the thing I'm thinking is either penile inversion or sigmoid colon.
That makes sense. Yeah, Jamie Dodger has spoken about metoidoplasty. Yeah.
True.
Yep.
True.
I've seen that a bit. No, overall, I generally find that there is much, much less easily accessible. Hi.
Love you.
Love you too. Information on stuff with tea, especially like microdosing tea, is even harder, which is irritating. If you haven't been here a minute, I deal with PMDD, premenstrual dysphoria disorder. It affects an absurdly high number of the percentage of the population. I've seen numbers anywhere between like low surveys say like 2 to 5, high ones say 3 to 8. Okay, and that's percentage of the population, right? Like, that's actually a decently big number. That means that, like, how many people do we have watching right now? 38. Okay, so I'm that person, but let's say on a normal, or sorry, not normal, but like on a larger night, we've got 100. So that means that I'm not the only one dealing with this thing. And most people haven't heard of it. Not even my fucking doctors. And so I bring this up, especially in regards to tea, because I have a lot of questions on how these different systems in the body work together, right? I am having much better results for PMDD while microdosing tea. That's actually a legit thing that is fucking working. And so we don't even really know how PMDD happens. We don't even know why. So it's very possible that trans women could deal with PMDD and not realize it.
There's been some anecdotal discussions about this. There are some trans women that if they cycle their progesterone will start noticing like increased mood issues and things like that. And beyond just the normal mood issues you normally get with like, say, progesterone or estrogen. Like, again, we're talking about the same systems. So the problem is that like once you've hacked in and you basically just put in whatever hormone you want, the essential thing is like, where does that line go? Because this is
your
where
body still reacts because there's still things in the body that it's, reacting to, right? Like that's how hormones work. I am not a scientist, so don't come to me for like some big explanation on how our body like processes hormones. Just saying.
Yeah, well, and it's like the thing is that you get into the thing about like there's the whole debate that happened about like trans women getting periods, and it's like, well, if you're talking about a period in the sense that it creates cramps and there's a certain time of month where you deal with certain type of emotions, yeah, that seems to be anecdotally true. Have we proven that yet? Not yet. But again, if a sizable number of trans women say this is happening, I don't want to just ignore them epistemically and like pretend that that's not happening. On the other hand...
Well, there's nothing to say that the possibility isn't there either, right? Like,
correct.
There's nothing to say that this can't be happening.
Now, if you only define a period as dropping blood out of your, vag, then no, because they don't have those parts. But the body does... Yeah, I get extreme cramps every month on progesterone. Which is weird because normally that's not how the cycle works. So I actually looked this up because I had it backwards too. So at the height of your actual ovulation is when your progesterone, your estrogen, and your luteinizing hormone, I believe, are at the top. And then as it comes back down, that's when you go into, what would be commonly called, the end of the menstrual cycle or the period.
Well, Entity was just saying that since they started doing...
Oh, so they went on, so they're going on...
They're saying in general, since they started going on progesterone.
I misread that. Yeah, see, so when I cycle it, what ends up happening for me, and again, TMI, what happens for me, and Zena saw this too, that thing that sometimes like cis women get where like, they tend to have extra goo during like ovulation. You can do that and then make a mess. The end. But yeah, that's totally a thing. Like we've seen that happen where like my body reacts totally differently when I'm on progesterone.
Yeah. So like I end up dealing with, both the PMDD symptoms and the period stuff, but also the effects from microdosing, right? The feeling of being turned on while microdosing is not the same as it was before. In fact, sometimes that's just so intense that it actually hurts. Like, it feels like there's a physical hardness there that wasn't there before. And that's really weird, especially like in a body that's really sensitive to things. Like, I'm used to having to go, oh God, it hurts. I probably have to go check this out because otherwise, like, I'm going to be in doctor's appointments.
Two things. So the thing here about the thing is that most trans women are on stable levels of estrogen and don't take progesterone, which is probably why we only see this phenomenon heard from by women who are on progesterone. Two, Lena said, I looked up a thing on neovaginal bottom surgery, and there's something that says your vagina smells like poop. That is not true. That's simply not true. It basically has the same bacterial culture that a cis vagina would. I have literally never heard that. That literally sounds like TERF propaganda. Like, they read about sigmoid colon and realized that it involved the word colon, and were like, well, now it involves poop. Because sigmoid colon is literally them taking a part of the colon, reconnecting it, and then using that, obviously cleaned and functional, to make and construct the vagina out of, along with the parts of the penis. And so essentially what it does is it produces mucus. We went over this on stream, guys. We went over this when we talked about the that really based Dr. Z video.
Oh, yeah.
Someone cleaned me turf. I feel dirty. They gotcha. Yeah, anytime it sounds really gross, assume it's probably TERFs.
Well, and the thing with the medical language surrounding periods is keep in mind that, like, depending on who defines it, changes a bit. But in the literature that you might run into might not have been written with gender identity in mind. Okay, like, that's a kind of a big one. So depending on where and when data's for, your definitions of certain things might be a little bit behind. I mean, hell, oh God, Mom Dr. Jones had a video recently, in the last few months, going into, like, all the different ways that people would try to, like, tell you to solve yeast infections. Tea tree oil is not for yeast infections, thank you. Like, this misinformation shit's still out there. There's somebody that thinks that Benadryl is going to solve PMDD. They're not a doctor, by the way.
No, absolutely. Baphomet, just real quick, just to let you know, it sounds scary. It is a little bit more of a risky procedure, but there's a couple people on Twitter that I follow. One of them is a friend, and she fucking swears by it because it just allows for lubrication. Everything works fine. Yeah, it is a higher risk procedure, but it is one that gets really solid results. And yes, no one should put tea tree oil in their pussy. Just don't do that. It is a facial astringent, nothing else.
Oh, we got onto this because there's a lack of information, right? The information or discussion, right? The lack of stuff that, like, I have had to piece this stuff out over, like, the years and do a lot of digging, okay? The reason I thought about microdosing was because Jess was searching on Reddit and we found one random post from somebody.
I found one post that wasn't mentioned
on Reddit, okay, talking about this. Now, sure enough, the PMDD, one of the PMDD groups that I'm on, there's a decent number of trans, masculine, non-binary people there. Like, that's a thing. I'm the only one microdosing, but there's a decent number of people dealing with this. So, like, not having the information, not having people talking about this stuff is really, really hard, especially because constantly, we are finding a way to shame people for talking about their body parts. Like, even if you grow up as a cis woman, you end up with so much shame. And at the very least, if it's not shame, at least a sense that you're not supposed to talk about it very much, right? Like, it's almost taboo to talk about period things.
Yeah, at Baphomet,
this is getting really hard for me to focus and get through this.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Like, I can't focus when everybody's, like...
all over the place?
Yeah, like, I've been trying to get back to this topic for, like, since the beginning.
All right, go finish your thought. Sorry.
Okay,
guys, stay focused, please.
Yeah. This is hard. Okay, my head will probably wear off a while ago. Point being, it's really hard not having the information. You end up kind of lost. You end up kind of being in pain when you don't have to be. Yeah, PMDD. I just don't remember what thought trail I was on. That's all, because these are still very broad things. Yeah, I guess that's probably what I've got for now. Yeah,
let's stay on topic next time, guys, just because I get distracted by chat too, and that was my fault as well, so we gotta kind of support Zena in that. Nerd King, as far as that, yeah, we have a number of people that have PMDD. It's interesting because Zena's been so vocal about this that we've actually gotten a lot of people who are trans mask, non-binary and otherwise. Astra, Zena, yourself. It's actually really nice because there seems to be, like, some nice support in our server that I don't think you can find in other places. Like, if you go to a normal PMDD thing, Zena's been on them, it's a lot of misinformation.
Yeah.
Take Benadryl. Like, what?
Yeah, because the one, what's her face? Dr. Lara Croft or whatever. Or Bryden?
If it's Lara Croft, that's funny.
I'm sorry. No, I think it's Bryden or something like that. And there are other types of antihistamines that have some research for them that do different things. Like there's a couple different generations of them, but Benadryl is not solving your PMDD, okay? Like it's not. It might be sedating you.
Well, and PMDD makes sense at a certain level because, like, let's think about it. Like, that whole operating system there, like, everything from the ovaries to the uterus and all that, that is an incredibly complex system. And so, even just looking at how the vagina works is incredibly complex. And the thing is that, like, you're seeing doctors make this. This is what really bothers me about the new vagina discussion is you're talking about one factor of that whole apparatus that we've been able to roughly duplicate. And you can either duplicate it through the one of three methods, like the penile inversion, the sigmoid colon, or the perineal. Two of them do produce their own sort of lubricant, but again, maybe not enough for sex. People were talking about earlier, the perineal creates like a little bit of a whitish yellowish fluid that can be that. The colon one produces mucus. The inverted penile one does not necessarily produce any lubrication, though again, copper gland and prostate can produce stuff, yada yada. Here's the point. The fact that we can do that is fucking wondrous. So do you guys really, like, do people really think that you can't, from that, then come up with the idea that trans women could deal with PMDD? Because hormones combined with, you know, certain biological types could do that. Or the fact that, like, even just a cis or non-binary AFAB person's body, just because the hormones are out of tweak, could then deal with or have these effects. Like, it just makes sense.
Right, and so the thing to understand with PMDD is that it is not that your body has abnormal hormone levels. It's not that. The issue is that your body is reacting too much to what would be normal, right? The way that it's your body that the hormone levels are normal, and it's your body that is reacting to the normal fluctuations. And so because of that, that's why it's very, at least in my mind, very likely there's other scenarios in which this kind of thing can happen to people, right? Because this is more, we don't really know what causes it either. We just kind of know the one thing that it's not.
No, absolutely.
So that's why, like, if there's a way that, like, a gene or something going on in, you know, a trans femme's body, right, who's on HRT, that body, you know, still has the gene to do this, but now you actually have those hormones that it's having to interact with in that level.
Yeah, I mean, we can presuppose a lot of ways that could interact.
Right. But that's where I've been kind of going with some of this. It's just, it rings to me as, no, there's a possibility that this kind of thing can happen, and we don't talk about this stuff enough.
No, Nerd King, that's absolutely true, that PMDD does ring very similarly to the whole female hysteria bullshit.
Oh no, that's probably why it didn't get diagnosed, and a diagnosis curated for it as early.
Because of stereotyping, yeah.
And a lot of people really didn't like PMDD as a diagnosis being in the DSM either. There's a sizable number of people that were upset with that decision. But also, like, some of us who have it kind of know it does fuck up our lives.
Yeah, not everyone's as lucky as, say, like Zena, where obviously PMDD is still a factor and still can be a problem, but microdosing tea has been a huge save. But this stuff is also hard, and I find the whole transition premenstrual dysphoria disorder. It's a disorder. Zena can tell you more about it, but essentially the short version from the therapist is that it is a disorder where around your cycle, before you start, you know, your the end of your menstrual cycle, you basically...
Oh, the week before your period starts, you will get symptoms, and symptoms include, like, in extreme and intense moods, long-lasting moods, so, like, several hours, changes in appetite, changes in emotional ability, changes in everything. Take all, like, the regular PMS stuff and make it, like, times 10. And the idea is that usually when your period starts, these symptoms then end. Okay, and then you have your period, and then usually you're not experiencing this stuff again until until that next PMDD cycle. That's kind of why that's different from other stuff, because there's a very clear stop and start to it, usually. I say usually because if you're doing hormone stuff like me, no, my PMDD does not line up perfectly anymore with period stuff, oddly enough, and the literature doesn't say much about symptoms during ovulation, but I've definitely heard anecdotal experiences from people that's a possibility.
Yeah, it can be rough as fuck, and then people don't even know what it is. I mean, like...
Oh yeah, no, like, you're just, like, insanely angry for the next 4 hours, like, and not like, hey, this thing legit pissed me off. It's like, I dropped something in the kitchen, and now I'm, like, crying all of a sudden, and I am still sad about it several hours later. Like, it's that strange of a difference.
Schlibbity, if you can turn any of this into a segment, please do so, but we should probably move on. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Also, consider donating to us. You can support us on our website, transgirltherapist.org. You can also help us on our Patreon, link below, or you can become a member here on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching.
Hello! Wagomaniac856 here, the editor. I hope you enjoyed this video. Put a lot of effort into editing the damn thing. But while you're here, why don't you check out my YouTube channel, my Twitter account, and... my website.